The New England Patriots have finally gone full rebuild mode, replacing Bill Belichick with Jerod Mayo, replacing Mac Jones / Tom Brady, hopefully, with Drake Maye from North Carolina, and replacing a lot of positions offensively through the draft and through free agency to hopefully make this an offense that can replace their anemic behavior that they had last year. I think the first main point that I want to drive home, that this is going to be the first year in a very long time that Bill Belichick is not associated with the New England Patriots at all. Forget being the head coach. He's gone. You see some coaches around the league like Pete Carroll, who just moved into a more organizational role with the Seattle Seahawks as opposed to just completely leaving the franchise. Bill Belichick is gone. You're going to see him either on TV or maybe on someone else's sideline here by the time week 10 or week 11 rolls around, which I would doubt that Bill Belichick is on anyone's sideline this year, but you just never know what's going to happen. It's not only Jerod Mayo taking over at head coach, it's Alex Van Pelt coming over from Cleveland, who was the offensive coordinator for the Browns the last 4 years, who has worked under very respected head coaches in the NFL, like a Marvin Lewis, like Zach Taylor, like Mike McCarthy, like Kevin Stefanski. He has been in a lot of respected coaching rooms in his last 20, 25 years as an offensive coordinator, as a offensive quality control assistant, any position he's worked over the last 20, 25 years of his career, he's been in a lot of very good coaching rooms, and he's been around a lot of good quarterbacks as well. That goes hand in hand with highlighting the next topic, which is drafting Drake Maye with the number 3 overall pick from North Carolina. Now, you hope that Drake Maye can be the Tom Brady replacement, and as big of a burden that is to place on any quarterback's shoulders, let alone a rookie, you mostly just hope that he can have a successful year and at least be better than Mac Jones. Now, I think up till last year, I would have told you I still believed in Mac Jones' ability to be a solid, at least game manager type quarterback in the NFL. After last season happened, I don't know if it was fully that his confidence was shot. I don't know if it was partly because he's just not a good quarterback, but he looked like he was cooked in New England, simply put. And now you have Drake Maye there, who is an obvious athletic upgrade at the quarterback position for the New England Patriots. He looks like he's a physically just more, I don't know if imposing is the right word, but he looks more of the part as a quarterback in the NFL than Mac Jones does. And that's just putting facts where they need to be. Last year, the New England Patriots ranked in the bottom 6 in the following categories: scoring offense, yardage, turnovers, passing yards, and rushing yards. They weren't just bad, they were bad at everything. They allowed a lot of sacks. They were, like I said earlier, anemic as an offense. And that's honestly keeping it respectful. Now, is part of that the fact that they had Bill O'Brien and Joe Judge as their offensive, play callers / offensive coaches? Probably. And that's one of the things with Bill Belichick where you can kind of look at and be like, maybe you weren't helpful to Mac Jones being the replacement for Tom Brady as much as you could have been. But even then, it stems back to further than last year. It stems back to having Matt Patricia calling offensive plays for Mac Jones. It was a complete dumpster fire for the New England Patriots offense, and it was a complete dumpster fire at the quarterback position, both because of his play and also what was surrounding him through the coaching staff and through the skill group position players as well. But again, the skill group has completely been overhauled. They do lose guys like Pharaoh Brown, Mike Gesicki, Ezekiel Elliott, but those are guys you could afford to lose. And honestly, in those names that I mentioned, Ezekiel Elliott's probably the most important guy that they lost, just from a standpoint of he was somebody who could, you could give him 15 to 20 carries a game. You're not going to get 100-yard games out of Ezekiel Elliott, but he's somebody who can get those tough 3-4 yards every other down. And he could also catch the ball really well out of the backfield with 300 receiving yards for the team as well. But like everything else that the New England Patriots have done this offseason for players and personnel that they have lost, they've replaced it. Now, is Antonio Gibson going to be a great replacement for Ezekiel Elliott? No, and I don't think it solves the issue that New England had last year where they kind of needed to rely on Ezekiel Elliott in 5 games where Ramondre Stevenson was injured and couldn't play. They don't have much, I guess, flexibility with the running back position anymore. Your running back position has been whittled down to Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, who is actually on the non-football injury list, JaMychal Hasty, Kevin Harris, and Deshaun Fenwick. You're not left too much. And you hope maybe somebody gets signed if you're a Patriots fan to just kind of give you not really Ramondre Stevenson insurance, but give Ramondre Stevenson a break. I mean, he already is somebody who, like I said, missed 5 games last year, and he's going to be a bell cow back again without Ezekiel Elliott around. So that's the one thing I don't think the New England Patriots did very well this offseason is give Ramondre Stevenson someone who can give him a couple plays off here and there. But he's a young back. You hope he can stay healthy through the whole year, and you don't even have to worry about that. Now, the skill group as a whole has also gone through a major uplift in terms of adding talent. You add guys in the draft like Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. You add some offensive line players throughout free agency and through the draft. You draft some backups like Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace on the offensive line. You also sign, I say Chuck. Some people say his full name. Some people say Chucks. But Chuck Okorafor from Pittsburgh. And then you have tight end flexibility when you bring over Austin Hooper, you bring over Mitchell Wilcox, and you draft Jaheim Bell to play behind Hunter Henry at tight end. You have an offense that looks like you have players that can do something. You have Demario Douglas, you have KJ Osborne, you have Kayshon Boutte, you have Kendrick Bourne. You hope this can be an average offense. You hope they can be average because at the end of the day, no, it's still not a great offense. They don't have that guy in the skill group that is like gives the other team nightmares. The best player in the skill group is Ramondre Stevenson, and he's a very good player, but he's still, maybe a top 7, top 8 running back in the NFL? And even with that being said, that's not like that's a huge accomplishment in today's NFL. There's really only a few guys at the running back position that are like, scary guys. And Ramondre Stevenson isn't one of those guys. Let's talk about the defense. This defense added just like the offense did. Now, the only, I would say, notable loss is Miles Bryant, a guy who played every single game for the New England Patriots last year, got 77 tackles, had an interception, had a few pass deflections, had some tackles for loss. Other than that, defensively, they didn't lose much. And then they end up adding Armon Watts from Pittsburgh. They end up adding Jalen Hawkins, the safety from the LA Chargers. And they add Cleveland linebacker Sione Takitaki to be a valuable player on this defense. I don't know how much he's going to play because Jawan Bentley and Jelani Tavai are the main linebackers for this team. You also have guys like Marte Mapu, who I'm not sure if they've figured out yet if he's going to be a safety or a linebacker for this team. But, you hope defensively they can pick up where they were last year in terms of generating pressure against the quarterback and playing very good defense in the secondary. They re-signed Jabril Peppers, and you hope Christian Gonzalez, who didn't play much last year, he only played, I think, 1 or 2 games last year. He played 4 games last year before going out for the entire season with an injury. He still had a sack. He still had an interception. He still was a valuable corner for this defense, regardless of only playing 4 games or not. You also hope Matt Judon is not injured for most of the year again. You hope that guys like Josh Uche can finally take their next step. For some reason, only 3 sacks last year. That's not great. On White, you hope he can take a good second-year leap. There's names on this defense that are very good players. And there's names that I think... I'm not going to say that they are happy that Bill Belichick is no longer around for the defense, but I think when you have Jerod Mayo take over as the head coach, a former player for the New England Patriots, and a guy who's going to be able to talk to players and know what certain guys are going to want to hear from their coach. I think that's an invaluable trait for coaches to have, is to be one of those former players that knows how to talk to current players and know how to get them going. Ending things as usual, talking about the schedule for the New England Patriots. It's not an overly tough schedule, but I would say it's above average in terms of how tough each opponent is. I would just say on average, their opponent each week is a good opponent. They don't play a team until Tennessee in week 9, where I'm like, okay, maybe that's not a great team. You see where they're at in week 9 in Tennessee. But I already have talked about the Tennessee Titans. I think they've improved this year in the offseason. You see maybe where Arizona is in week 15, same as the LA Chargers in week 17. But other than that, it's probably a top 10 schedule in terms of how tough it is. But I would say that that's good. I think you're going into this season, you're not going to win a lot of games, and you still want to improve through the draft. You still want to improve by adding young players to this team, and hopefully by the time the trade deadline comes around, you have some guys that you can move off for even more draft compensation. Guys like maybe a Matthew Judon, guys like maybe a Mike Onwenu, maybe a Kendrick Bourne, maybe a Jacoby Brissett. Somebody is going to want somebody from the New England Patriots roster. It's just a matter of, who's going to perform to the point where they're going to make other teams want them. What I don't see happening for New England is anything more than 7 wins. I would say that that's their absolute ceiling. If Drake Maye comes in and he's, the best quarterback from the 2024 draft, which I really doubt is going to happen because I think Caleb Williams is going to be that good. 7 wins, it would be a total surprise out of the New England Patriots because they still, like I said, offensively don't have like a top tier guy. Defensively, they're going to be good again. And I think they're actually going to improve on where they were last year with added depth and a new face at the head coach and defensive coordinator position. This is going to be a team where the ceiling is about 7 wins. I'd say the floor is 3 or 4 wins. They're going to be one of those bottom feeder teams in the AFC again and in the NFL in general. And honestly, I don't think you want much else if you're a New England Patriots fan. You got 5, 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady. I don't even remember how many he got. I think it's 5. I know it's 5. But still, you got 5 Super Bowls with one guy in like a 20-year stretch. You can be happy with a down year with hopefully a quarterback that is a bright spot.